My name is Harold. I am 106 years old, and the first thing people usually ask me is not how I feel. They ask me what I did. What's the secret? How did you live this long? What should we all be chasing? And very often the question behind those questions is about money. Did I invest wisely? Did I build something big? Did I accumulate enough security to live comfortably for a century? I understand why people think that way. For most of our lives, we are taught that meaning will follow success, that fulfillment will arrive once we've built enough stability, earned enough recognition, saved enough money to finally relax. But at 106, I can tell you something with certainty. The moments that gave my life meaning had very little to do with money. They came from 4 choices I made over the years. Choices that didn't look impressive at the time. Choices that often seemed inconvenient, but those decisions quietly shaped the way my life unfolded. The first choice I made was this. I chose presence over productivity whenever the moment truly mattered. That may sound simple, but it goes against the rhythm most of us are trained to follow. When I was in my 30s, work was everything. I had a young family, a mortgage, and a mind that constantly measured progress. How much had I earned? How much had I accomplished? What still needed to be done? Productivity became a habit, and productivity can be useful, but it also has a hidden cost. It steals your attention from the present moment. One evening when my daughter was about 7 years old, she asked me to help her build something with wooden blocks in the living room. I remember the moment clearly because I almost said no. I had paperwork waiting on the kitchen table, deadlines, responsibilities, adult things that felt urgent. But something about the way she looked at me made me pause. So I sat down on the floor and helped her build a small tower, then another, then an entire imaginary city. We played there for nearly an hour. Eventually, she fell asleep on the couch beside those crooked little buildings. When I carried her to bed that night, I realized something. The paperwork would still be there tomorrow, but that small window of childhood would not. Years later, when my daughter became an adult, she reminded me of that evening. She didn't remember the projects I finished that week. She remembered the blocks. Moments like that taught me something important. Meaning hides inside presence, not inside accomplishment. You cannot accumulate presence later. It must be chosen in the moment when it appears. Over the years, I began asking myself a quiet question whenever work tried to consume every hour. Will this matter in 10 years? Sometimes the answer was yes, but often the answer was no. And when the answer was no, I allowed myself to step away. That single habit shaped my relationships more than I understood at the time. The second choice I made was this. I chose curiosity over certainty. Curiosity keeps the mind alive. Certainty slowly closes it. When people reach middle age, many of them begin believing they already understand how the world works. They stop asking questions. They stop listening carefully to ideas that challenge them. And without noticing it, their thinking becomes rigid. I tried not to let that happen. When younger people shared ideas that felt unfamiliar to me, I listened. When technology began changing the way people communicated, I learned slowly instead of dismissing it. Curiosity kept me connected to the present moment, and connection gives life energy. The third choice I made was something that surprised many people. I chose relationships over status. Status can feel important when you're younger. Titles, positions, recognition. But status has a strange property. It fades quickly. A job title that once impressed people becomes irrelevant once you leave the position. But the relationships you nurture remain alive long after your career changes. I invested time in friendships, in conversations, in listening. Sometimes those conversations lasted hours. Sometimes they were brief exchanges that simply reminded someone they mattered. Those connections carried me through many difficult seasons, and they became far more valuable than any professional achievement. The fourth choice I made came later in life. I chose gratitude over comparison. Comparison is a quiet thief. It convinces you that your life is insufficient, that someone else's success somehow diminishes your own. I watched many capable people spend years chasing a moving target. More income, more recognition, more approval. The target moved every time they reached it. Gratitude changed that pattern for me. Instead of measuring what I lacked, I began noticing what was already present. A warm meal, a meaningful conversation, a quiet walk in the evening. Those small recognitions gradually shifted the way I experienced life, and that shift made meaning easier to see. At 106, I can look back across decades and see how those four choices shaped the texture of my days. Not dramatically, quietly. Presence, curiosity, relationships, gratitude. Those four habits formed the foundation of a life that felt meaningful, even when circumstances were ordinary. But there is more to those choices than the simple words themselves, because each of them required something difficult. They required letting go of certain expectations about success. When I say those four choices gave my life meaning, it might sound neat and tidy, as if I understood their importance from the beginning. I didn't. At 30, I believed what most people believe, that life becomes meaningful once you reach certain milestones. A better job, a larger house, a reputation that makes people respect you when you walk into a room. Those things feel powerful when you are chasing them, but they have a strange quality. They never stay still. Every time you reach one level, another appears just ahead of it. More income, more recognition, more responsibility. And because the world rewards that chase, it becomes easy to believe the pursuit itself is the purpose of life. For several years, I believed that too. I worked longer hours than I needed to. I accepted projects simply because they sounded impressive. And I remember a moment when that path began to feel hollow. It happened during a company dinner when I was in my early 40s. A room full of people celebrating a successful year. Everyone was dressed well. The speeches were enthusiastic. But while sitting there, listening to another round of applause for numbers on a report, I felt something unexpected. A strange quiet inside my own thoughts. Not dissatisfaction exactly, more like distance. I realized that none of the applause in that room knew who I really was. It only recognized what I had produced. And that is when the first choice, presence over productivity, began to deepen, because productivity alone cannot sustain meaning. It can produce results, but results are not the same as fulfillment. Fulfillment arrives when the moments that make up your life feel inhabited, not rushed through, not postponed, inhabited. That realization changed the way I approached my days. Instead of measuring success only by what I completed, I began noticing how I experienced the time while doing it. Was I engaged? Was I attentive? Or was I simply moving through tasks while my mind was somewhere else? Presence became a kind of discipline. It required saying no to certain opportunities that looked attractive, but demanded more attention than I was willing to sacrifice. It required protecting quiet evenings with my family, protecting weekends from unnecessary obligations. Many people around me believed that approach was short-sighted. They assumed stepping back from constant productivity meant falling behind. But something interesting happened. The relationships I invested in became the most reliable sources of support and joy later in life. When my children grew older, they continued visiting not because they felt obligated, but because they enjoyed being around me. When I retired, friendships remained active. Many people struggle with retirement because their identity was built entirely around their profession. Once the profession disappears, the structure collapses. But when your life includes curiosity and relationships, the transition becomes much easier. Curiosity, the second choice I mentioned, played a large role in that. Curiosity is what keeps a person mentally alive long after formal responsibilities fade. I saw this difference very clearly among friends of my generation. Some people stopped learning new things once they left their careers. They repeated the same conversations, the same complaints, the same memories. Others remained curious. They read. They asked younger people questions. They tried new hobbies. And the curious ones always seemed younger in spirit. Not because their bodies were stronger, because their minds were still expanding. Expansion prevents stagnation, and stagnation is where many people begin feeling life has lost meaning. Relationships, the third choice, became even more important as the years passed. A career eventually ends, status fades, but conversations with people you care about can continue for decades. Some of the richest moments of my life happened in simple places. A kitchen table, a quiet walk with a friend, a long conversation after dinner. Those moments rarely looked important at the time, but when I look back now, those are the memories that remain vivid, not the promotions, not the business deals, the conversations. And then there is the fourth choice, gratitude. Gratitude is something I learned later than the others. For many years I compared my progress with the progress of others. It's an easy habit to fall into, especially in professional environments where success is constantly measured. But comparison is exhausting. There will always be someone wealthier, someone more recognized, someone seemingly ahead. If you build your sense of meaning around comparison, you are placing your happiness in a race with no finish line. Gratitude ended that race, not because my life suddenly became perfect, but because I stopped measuring it against other people's lives. Instead, I measured it against what I already had: health that allowed me to walk, friends who returned my calls, family members who still shared stories with me. Those small realities formed a quiet sense of abundance. And abundance, I discovered, is not determined by how much you accumulate. It is determined by how much you appreciate what is already present. By the time I reached my 80s, those 4 choices had quietly shaped the structure of my days. But there was still something I hadn't fully understood yet, something that only became clear when I passed the age of 90. By the time I reached 90, something in my understanding of life shifted again. When you live long enough, you begin to notice patterns, not just in your own life, but in the lives of the people around you. Some people grow older and become smaller inside, not physically smaller, but emotionally. Their world narrows, their conversations become shorter, their curiosity fades, and slowly, the meaning they once felt begins to slip away. Other people grow older and somehow become deeper. Their pace slows, but their attention sharpens. They notice things younger people rush past: a conversation with a neighbor, the quiet satisfaction of finishing a small task, the sound of rain against the window. I began asking myself why that difference exists, and I realized something simple. Meaning in life does not come from extraordinary events. It comes from the way we approach ordinary moments. Those 4 choices I spoke about earlier: presence, curiosity, relationships, and gratitude, were not important because they created dramatic memories. They were important because they changed how I experienced everyday life. Presence meant I was actually there for the moments that mattered. Curiosity kept my mind open to change, even as the world around me evolved faster than I expected. Relationships ensured that my life was woven together with other people's stories, and gratitude protected me from the endless trap of comparison. Together, those habits created something very powerful. They created continuity. Even when my career ended, even when friends passed away, even when my body began slowing down, the structure of my days still felt meaningful. I still had conversations to look forward to, books to read, walks to take, people to listen to. Meaning doesn't arrive as a reward for achievement. It emerges from the way you inhabit your time. When people ask me now what advice I would give someone younger, they often expect something complicated, a formula, a strategy for building a successful life. But the truth is simpler than that. Protect your attention. Attention is the currency of a meaningful life. Whatever receives your attention becomes the experience you remember. If your attention is constantly scattered by stress, by comparison, by endless productivity, you will look back and realize that much of your life passed by unnoticed. But when your attention is directed toward people, toward learning, toward gratitude, even ordinary days become rich with meaning. At 106, my life is quieter than it once was. I wake up earlier than I used to. I move more slowly. Some mornings I sit by the window with a cup of tea and simply watch the neighborhood come alive. Children walking to school, a neighbor watering his garden, the same delivery truck arriving every afternoon. These are small scenes, but they remind me of something I didn't understand when I was young. Life is not made meaningful by grand accomplishments alone. It becomes meaningful when we choose to notice it. Those 4 choices help me notice. They help me remain connected to people, to curiosity, to gratitude, even as the years accumulated. And when I look back across more than a century, I can say with confidence that the most valuable parts of my life were never the things I earned. They were the moments I truly lived, not because they were extraordinary, but because I was present enough to experience them. That is what gave my life meaning, and that is what I hope more people discover long before they reach my age. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to watch another video that might interest you.